thanks for taking your time out of all your busy days. So really appreciate it. Firstly, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners and elders. So we acknowledge the traditional custodians of land, waterlands, and further, we acknowledge the cultural diversity of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people and pay respect to the past, present, and future. So thank you. We'd also just like to welcome a couple of dignitaries here. So Garth Hamilton, our MP for Groom. So I'll ask Garth to say a few words in a sec. We've also got an apology from Senator Amanda Stoker, who was going to be here but has been called away, unfortunately. So, but we'll catch up with her. For those that know Grant, so CEO of the Atlas Precinct here, about 800 hectares of pure innovation starting to come through in the industry. So really good opportunity to catch up with him and what's happening here, because you can see more and more buildings coming through here. So fantastic. John Henderson from Pulse up here. So with the Pulse Centre up here, great piece of innovation through here. And then Steve Williams is somewhere here. Steve, here, there we are, Steve. So Deputy Director of Coffee. So, and Damien Hine also from UQ as well with Coffee. And we've got a couple of other people which I'll introduce you as well. So, we've got Associate Professor Keith Pembleton, which is here. Keith is a part of the USQ, School of Agriculture and Environment, part of the real big partnership that we have with USQ. So really appreciate you taking the time. Peter Gregor, who's from the USQ Student Success and Wellbeing. So important while we're getting all these young minds here that we have the wellbeing and then coming through and getting some guidance. So thank you. Abby, just want to throw out, I'm not going to put you on the spot, Abby. So just be aware, Abby is actually one of our first inaugural people to go through the Batman that we've been talking about through this college. So the Bachelor of AgTech and Management. So welcome. Can we give Abby a real clap? Thanks. And as part of this cohort, can we please just, if you see Abby, just have a chat to her, see what she's doing, tell them what you're about, where you're about, so as well. So it's really important that we actually build the people coming through, because I look around here, everyone, and we're all wanting new people into the industry. So I know each of you guys are reporting for new jobs. Dr. Jacob Humble, yep. USQ lecturer of the Agriculture and Environmental Science, teaches at the UQ as well. But the most notable is the Moon to Mars project he works on. I hope this is right. But where he's working on methods to detect crop stress and crops known from the outer space, looking at disease and those sorts of things. So man on the moon sort of stuff. So it's a privilege to have you here. So thank you very much for taking the time. So that's a good, interesting guy if you want to go have a chat. So today also I'd like to just thank all the entrepreneurs that have come through here. We've got DAF as well, GrowCom. So thank you very much. Your Mulberry project. So we've got that kicking along. So please make sure we catch up with the GrowCom. They've got some really exciting people, but they're bringing some exciting people in. Now, your background is engineering. Quick introduction. Yeah. So looking at bringing these people through here so they can get some experience with you guys, engineering, those sorts of backgrounds. So please make yourself known. So that'd be great. Firstly, I'd like to welcome Garth just to say a few words. So thanks very much for taking the time to come over, and I'll pass it to you, Garth.
No worries. Actually, am I all right? Can you hear me?
No, it's got to be.
That's great. All right, thank you very much, everybody. Believe it or not, it wasn't that long ago I was doing very similar things to you. I came out of research before entering mining. I worked at the CRC ore, and one of the fun things was try to explain all the great little projects that we had going on to politicians, and I often had to water it down. You guys probably don't have to water it down too much for me, but bear with me. One of the great things I find in the space that you're in is how do we get that gap between the great minds that are out there, the great ideas that we have, and turning those into things that are operating. And that little space, sometimes we talk about that technology valley of death, that little bridge that we need to cross there. It's a fascinating piece. And it's one of the few things that I think government actually has a really strong role in helping new technologies come along. I don't like picking winners. I really like making sure that we maintain those market pressures so technology has the chance to develop, so that there's some sort of moral story there that we can take technologies further than they've been before. The next generation get to reap the rewards of our work. But investing in that little collaboration space, I think, is so fantastic. It's great to see the state government do it. I come out of CRC's federal government sort of approach to do it. I very much appreciate people taking time to explain to me where you're going with this. I can't tell you how many times I'll go out and talk to a local farmer, and they'll be so proud to tell me about the new technology that they're trying at their place. There is no industry that is full of more inquisitive minds than agriculture. I think, son of a farmer myself, it's from sitting out for hours in the sun, working out how things work. And there's this desire to do things that little bit better. I think it's fantastic to see what's going on here. I spent a lot of time talking with Grant, and I see the vision that is for this place. I'm very, very grateful for all the work that has gone into this, because we're going to benefit as a region. But thank you. I've got a little bit more time, so I'll try and grab as many people as I can.
Thanks, Matt. All right. Thank you very much, Garth, and thanks you for your time. I know it's a busy time given what's happening in the last couple of weeks, so good luck with everything. Right, so one of the guys that we're here to see is obviously Wayne, the Chief Entrepreneur. Such a privilege to have him here at the Hub. It's been a little while. He's been flat out going around. You will see, and I know Sandy's going to kill me if I don't mention it, that there's socials. We're trying to post an innovator per day of the year, I think. So, Sandy, help yourself. You've got plenty here in this room. So, 3 questions I think there is. So, Sandy Mott is the one, she comes at you, don't run. So, Wayne is the CEO and co-founder of Redeye, and he'll share some experiences today around that. In 2021, Wayne was appointed the Chief Entrepreneur for Queensland. I'd like to point out, and I've written around, this is a volunteer role. I was surprised when I found that out. Volunteer role, and it's about giving back to Queensland and the innovation ecosystem. And I think that's really important, and I really thank you for your efforts and times in that. So if we can put our hands together just quickly on that. We all know how hard that can be. So I thank you, Wayne, for that. Since 2012, he's been a key leader in Queensland's innovation system, always giving. In 2015, he was named 2015 Queensland Entrepreneur of the Year. So fantastic effort. Wayne also serves as a number on boards, startups, and the Premier's Advisory Council, which is a really important council going forward. So we really want to make sure. So today we'll hear from Wayne about the opportunities. I've got some questions for him later, but I'm sure you guys, as the avid learners you are, have some questions as well. For those that we haven't come and see, we are going to circle back as well, so don't panic. So, or else I'll be strung up. So thanks, Wayne. I'll go hand over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Oh, I've got one.
Oh, you've got
It's
one.
good.
All right.
G'day, everyone. It's super great to be here. It's, you know, I think Garth and I were truly honoured to get to have a look around and see what you guys are doing. As an entrepreneur myself, I understand the journey you're on, right? I'm on that journey with you right now today. My business employs about 80 people down in Brisbane. I've got staff in the US, the New Zealand and Asia. Sorry, I've been going all day. So, and like you, right, I'm trying to solve problems that are really important to my customers. And I think about how do I do that in a way that not just solves a customer problem, but has an economic impact and benefit for Queensland. I've got kids, and I want to make sure my kids' future is the best possible future it is. I want to create a standard of living for our kids that ensures that they get to enjoy the opportunities that we've had. And so for me, I took on this role to help build the innovation ecosystem in Queensland, really to make sure that we attracted as many people as possible to solve the most important problems that the world faces. Right. So I was lucky enough to be asked to do the Chief Entrepreneurs gig and stand up a group of people, an Innovation Advisory Council. I'm the 4th Chief Entrepreneur. So we started the innovation ecosystem journey in Queensland really around 2011, 2012. And in 2017, we had our first Chief Entrepreneur. Those guys really focused, the first 3 Chief Entrepreneurs really focused on building startup focused capability in the ecosystem. What's different about me, I guess, is that I'm taking an economy-wide view. I really care about not just building more startups. I care about making sure that we build the most prosperous and sustainable economy, right? and see that impact flow into our society. So we've set up this Innovation Advisory Council, and the Innovation Advisory Council has representatives from all parts of the innovation ecosystem. We've got people that represent our youth. We've got people that represent our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, our Indigenous people. We've got people that represent women. We've got people that represent access to capital. We've got people that are trying to attract talent. We've got people that represent customers, corporates and government as customers. We've got people that represent research, commercialization, and I think I've covered, and the regions, of course, right? So we've got Julia, who's based down in Gundawindi, who is on the Innovation Advisory Council, focused on making sure that we think about a statewide approach to how do we build an innovation ecosystem. We don't want to just build an innovation ecosystem for the hell of it. We've really come up with, I guess, 4 kind of key areas that we're focused on. It's not rocket science, right? We're thinking about how do we help existing industry be as sustainable and competitive as possible. And I think what you guys are doing, what Owen's doing, what Grant's doing, you're just an example of focusing on solving really, really important problems. My business solves problems in power, mining, water, oil and gas, all those kind of industries like yours, right? Traditional industry. How do we make those industries as competitive globally, as commercially viable for as long as possible, and as sustainable for as long as possible? Because they generate our standard of living, right? So let's do more of that. That's obviously a smart thing, right? The way I want to do it is I want to do it by helping people like you. I want to do it by having our existing industry partner with innovators, entrepreneurs, researchers, small business people, people that are problem solvers, local problem solvers, right? Because I want to create local emerging industries, local emerging companies. I want to create new products and services that are relevant both here and globally, right? We talk a lot about Queensland innovators being born global. So thinking about the opportunity to solve really, really important problems and making sure those problems aren't just problems for the immediate area, making sure that if you're going to invest your heart, your soul, your energy, your knowledge, your time and resources into solving something, you may as well solve something that has the biggest possible total addressable market, right? And I'm sure Owen's been banging total addressable market into you because it is such an important attribute when you think about what problem you choose to solve. So solving a problem that's really, really big and really relevant in a lot of geographies and economies. Why is that valuable? Because if we can do that, you can create even more jobs here by exporting stuff offshore, right? You can create more revenue here by exporting stuff. And, you know, in my business, all my software engineering is done here in Brisbane. And I've got sales and services teams in like the US, for example. But every time I win a new customer in the US, I create new jobs here in Queensland. And that's a pretty cool thing to do. So, you know, in my business, for example, I've literally hired over 40 people now straight out of school or university and given them their first job. And I've done that on purpose, right? It costs more. But when I started my business, there was no startup ecosystem. There were no ready-made people with skills and capabilities in the kind of tech sector that I was in, right? So I had to invest. And I thought to myself, well, why not invest in people that want to have a crack, right? Since starting Red Eye, 8 people have left Red Eye and founded their own companies. And together, the cumulative number of jobs in Queensland would be somewhere around 400 to 500 as a result of that in less than 10 years. So we, as entrepreneurs, we as founders, we as curious problem solvers, have the opportunity to have a really substantial impact on the economy. Leveraging technology like you guys are doing to solve these problems is you know, obviously a really smart business opportunity. Talking with Owen and the team here about what are the different and sustainable commercial models is so important. Now, everything is moving to subscription-based pricing, right? Software as a service, rent, don't buy, right? So how do you think about what's the opportunity you have to provide your product, your service to the customer on a monthly, quarterly, annual installment? Why is that important? If you're a founder of an innovative company, your company will be valued on a multiple of earnings, right? Multiple of revenue instead of a multiple of profit, right? So if you're a company that can have a subscription-based pricing model, your company will be worth in the order of, sometimes only 4 or 5 times more, but sometimes hundreds of times more. I don't know anyone that wouldn't want a company worth 4 or 5 or 400 or 500 times more than what it was. Good luck, Garth. Cheers. Who agrees with that? Right? So thinking about your commercial models and leveraging the work that the guys here are doing to help you think about how do you scale your business is super, super important, because the more successful we can help you be, the more successful the AgTech Hub can help you be, the more opportunity you're going to have to reinvest back into our economy, right? And that's a really cool thing. So for me, helping existing industries is super important. Doing that by partnering guys and girls like you, the emerging industry, with them to solve problems that's my second priority. So how do we get existing industry to buy from emerging industries, from small companies without big balance sheets that aren't really proven in the market yet? How do we unlock procurement opportunities for you? We're doing stacks of work inside Queensland government to get Queensland government to see that they can have such a bigger impact by not just doing procurement, but by rather partnering with organisations like yours. So thinking more long-term, thinking strategically, thinking about the economic benefit of buying local and doing it practically. And that's a really, really important part of my role. Educating procurement people, sponsoring a procurement. We've got a big innovation conference in Queensland government at the end of this month. And we're sponsoring that. And we've got the Director Generals and a whole bunch of people coming to talk at that conference to give permission to Queensland public sector employees about how they should be thinking about this as an opportunity for them. So we're doing a lot to try and unlock procurement in government. We're also trying to do a lot to unlock procurement in the big corporates. We, about a month ago, we hosted 70, I think it was 70, maybe we invited 70, had 50 turn up, 50 CEOs turn up. And they were CEOs of some of Queensland's biggest companies. About 3 months before that, we had 70 board members at an event. And we were talking to them about why they should be partnering as organisations with innovators like you, right? What's the opportunity for the business? How's it going to help their business? And also, how is it going to have an ESG impact? What's the corporate social responsibility? And how can they position themselves to say that they're partnering? So right now we're talking with Queensland corporates about a pledge, an innovation pledge, to encourage them to sign up to this innovation pledge, to pledge that they'll partner with local Queensland innovators to solve their problems, right? So we're working on things like that. Obviously, the regions is super important. Innovation can happen anywhere, right? And you guys are walking, talking examples of that. So we want to encourage and enable more innovation in the regions by making sure that the regions have access to things like this. So it's and without a word of a doubt, right? And I say this honestly, Owen, what you're doing here at the AgTech Hub is an example. It's literally the benchmark for what good looks like in Queensland. So give him a clap because he's doing a freaking good job. So if we can encourage innovation all across Queensland, obviously to do that, we need to solve problems like, is it Steve? Yep, Steve's solving down there, which is how do we make sure there's technology available right across Queensland? Because a lot of the innovation requires connectivity, right? And so we're working with the federal government and the state government to think about how do we make sure there's more connectivity right across regional Queensland. The fourth priority that I have as the Chief Entrepreneur is, how do I unlock the Olympics for you guys? The Olympics is going to be the single biggest opportunity that we have as a state to define us, to define our brand globally. And so I'm really focused on going, right, what's every category in the Olympics? What's every part of the Olympics? And who are all the stakeholders? And we've mapped all that out now. And now what we're trying to do is go, how do we work out what all the opportunities are in each category for all the stakeholders? And then how do we engage with the stakeholders to make sure that everyone knows what opportunities are as early as possible so people can prepare for it? We've got a lot of activity happening to make sure that the Olympics is an economic opportunity for Queensland, not just a sporting event. We're really focused on... That's right. We're really focused, right? Like, who's ever been to a really major sporting event? Come on, most of the people, right? What do you know about most major sporting events? They are incredibly efficient about moving people in and out of the venue, aren't they? It's a logistics-driven event. It's get them in so they can see the thing and get them out as quickly as possible. I actually don't want our Olympics to be like that. I want our Olympics to be an experience-driven event, not a logistics-driven event. I want people to turn up 3 hours early and stay 3 hours later and spend their goddamn money with us, right? And so I want to create an environment, all of the infrastructure necessary to be able to encourage people to turn up 3 hours early, and then to expose them to innovative Queensland products, services, and experiences. And then I want to put underneath that all the supporting infrastructure, all the energy infrastructure, the water infrastructure, the network infrastructure. I want to communicate with every person that participates so they understand the impact on the environment, right? And how we're reducing carbon and how we're doing local water recycling. That's why I was interested, right? And how we're doing waste to energy conversion and all those kind of things that really tells the story that Queensland's carbon positive Olympics is setting a new standard. And by doing that, and if we can get that stuff to happen, we'll create a legacy that we'll all be proud of, right? I don't know about you guys, but I was lucky enough to go to Expo 88, came on a bus from the Central Coast where I was growing up at the time. And I look at the impact that that has had on Queensland, on Brisbane, and on so many people's lives. Imagine what we can do with 10 years notice for the Olympics, right? And imagine the impact it'll have on our kids and our kids' kids. What's your name again? Abby, right? Imagine, Abby, in 10 years' time, what role you'll be playing, right, in providing, in providing products and services potentially to the Olympics. Would that be cool, right? Imagine if every international visitor either was using a technology product, if you decided to get into AgTech, or was eating some of your, one of your, your cattle or your sheep or whatever you decide to do. If you decide to get into the land and start to grow stuff, that's the opportunity, right? So 4 themes for me as Chief Entrepreneur: helping existing industry, building and emerging industry, making sure our regions have the opportunity to participate, and unlocking the Olympics. Guys, I'm looking forward to getting around and talking to the rest of you. Bear with me. It's been a full day so far. So this is the third visit today. So Sandy mentioned, or Sandy hasn't mentioned, but Sandy, the 222 in 22, 222 videos in 22. So that's a story every day, every business day of the year 2022. So #46222. Yeah, well done. Right. So we're literally, that is our way of promoting you. It's our way of telling your story. In fact, it's your way of telling your story, and we're going to promote it. We're going to amplify it, right? And so please take 2 minutes, hold your iPhone, your Android phone up, literally, and go, hey, g'day, this is who I am. This is the problem I solve. This is why I solve this problem. And I'm solving it here from Queensland. And I employ X number of people, or I'm selling my product or service to all these different countries. Tell me something, tell the world something special about you, yeah? That makes everyone else in the world look and go, wow, Queensland is the place, right? It's the place I go if I want a problem solved. It's the place I go if I want to be an employee in an innovative company, yeah? It's the place I go if I want to invest, right? So help me tell that story to the world. That's what 222 and 22 is.
Happy to interview today.
Yes, please. Thanks, mate. I've got one. Yeah, and last but not least, if you need to get a hold of us, I have three amazing people here in the room, Sarah, Heather, and obviously Sandy, right? And you can just find us online, Chief Entrepreneur, Queensland Chief Entrepreneur, just type in that stuff and reach out to us. We're here, like seriously, our job, like his job, right, is to try and help, right? And so Sarah knows everyone, right? Literally, if she doesn't know you yet, you need to get to know her because she knows everyone else, right? And her job is to help you connect with people you need, right? We're doing a stack with investors. We're doing a stack around talent attraction and all that kind of stuff. And we're doing a stack around finding customers, right? So yeah, there you go. Cool.
Thanks very much for that. I'm sure there's some questions out here, so I'm not going to fire my questions out, but I'm looking around the audience for any questions that you might have. Great opportunity. You've just heard a lot of the queries and questions that get asked around this hub all the time. So has anyone got any questions for a start? Don't be shy, you never have been, so. All right, yeah, Cyril.
So Cormaric is all about innovation and bringing innovation to market. What we find in Australia is a risk-adverse attitude when it comes to innovation. Really shy, really conservative. We always had full employment. How, in your position, can you change people's mindset and to tackle innovation and embrace it?
Great question. It's the risk question. My first customer was BHP, and I had 2 and a bit software developers and a dog, right? Literally, when I sold our first solution back in 2012, September 2012. Back then, the cloud was like BHP had a global no cloud policy, not a cloud first policy. Yeah. Back then, there was no mobile phone applications used in the enterprise. And so how do you solve those problems? You solve those problems by literally unpacking them and going, here's the way you currently do it. And here's all the problems with the way you currently do it. And here's the way we're going to do it. And here's how we address all those problems. Yeah. That's what we had to do to get our first early customers. Our first customer was BHP. Our second customer was Arrow Energy. And again, they were part of Shell and part of Shell. Yeah, they were part of Shell. And they had again, they had this like no cloud policy. We have to do everything central buying, blah, blah, blah. And yet they still became a customer. It's not my role as chief entrepreneur to overcome the customer's risk. It's your role as the entrepreneur to overcome the customer's risk. And you've got to do it in a structured and detailed and thoughtful way. So for all the smart people out here, and you're all smart, right? Just take the time to unpack what is it they perceive as risk, right? You're still going to lose things. Like I lost a deal at SA Water, decided to buy from an American company instead of me because I didn't have a big enough balance sheet, right? So you're still going to lose stuff. That's life. You know, don't sweat that stuff. Move on to the next one. Hope that helps.
Meg, I think you've got a question.
Yeah, hi, Meg Cumro. I'm the founder of Fly the Farm, providing drone solutions to farmers and agribusiness, and also moving into the consulting into that area. How have your priorities changed in the role since you've entered the chief entrepreneur role?
So I probably get, I don't know, I do this one day a week as my volunteer role, right? Yeah, and I'm probably spending 50+ hours a week doing this at the moment. And so I get a lot of requests and inquiries and ask for help and come and speak at this or speak at that, right? Sorry, Owen, that's why it's taken me so long to get here, right? But the reality is it's an 18-month role. I can't do everything. And so for me, if I can unlock government procurement, get them to buy from innovators, that'd be a huge win, right? So I'm really, really focused on that. If I can unlock and position the way we're going to deliver the Olympics as an experience-focused event instead of a logistics-focused event, then other people can take that ball and run it down the field. And so that's a really, really important priority for me. So they're kind of two big things. If we can get corporates to sign this innovation pledge, that would be an amazing achievement, right? If we could kick that off and get that going and Queensland corporates started pledging to buy from Queensland innovators, that'd be freaking awesome. So if I did those three things, I'd be a really, really happy camper. I wanted to, for who are all the uni people in the room? There's a bunch of you, right? Yeah. I wanted to solve the lack of commercializing in Queensland problem. Yeah. I wanted to solve that problem. I'm not going to try and solve that problem, right? I've spoken to the DVC. Yeah. I agree with you, right? I've spoken to all the DVCRs and the heads of the universities and the government, both state and federal level. That's, I've got to park that one. so yeah, hope that helps.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for the question. Just a question here. Apart from the AgTech and Logistics Hub, which we all enjoy here, I know there's a lot of things out there that are helping other innovators in there. And is there some things that you want to just point the direction to? Like I think about the precinct and I think about just other people. Is there anything else?
I want to point the direction to the event we're hosting later in the year. Sarah, can you tell everyone about that?
Yes, so officially as of today, we are the collaborative partner for a festival called Something Fest, and we're bringing together the Something Digital Festival, Brisbane Prop Tech, and Something Tech. Have I got it all right? So we will sit across all of those events. It'll be from the 24th to the 28th of October. Save the date. It will be epic. But the whole idea is to bring the ecosystem together to talk about all the important issues, to get customers, to get deals done. So that's definitely something we can look forward to.
So we're going to a couple of other events. What are those ones?
We're going to the Tropical Innovation Festival in Cairns. We're going to Emerald quite soon. We're going to Gold Coast next week.
Yeah.
On the road.
So we're doing events, right? That's one of the things that we're trying to do as the Office of the Chief Entrepreneur. And we're doing events to bring your customers and other people together, potential investors, potential customers, you guys, potential employees, potential partners, bring all those people together and see if we can't help create an environment where you can do your magic, right? That's one thing. We're working with the Queensland government to plan a series of future investments in innovation. What do those things look like? They look like more investment into the framework necessary to build an innovation economy, more investment into hubs, right? A capital pathway program. We're working on that at the moment. We're looking at, I'll give you an example. One of the things we're trying to do in the capital pathway program, and this is not a guarantee, this is something we're trying to get up, is this idea of co-funded pilots. So co-funded proof of concepts, where we will work with the government and the corporate sector, your customers, and say, if you've got a problem that you want to try and solve with a local innovator, we will co-fund a pilot. So the innovator, you guys, gets a customer, not a grant, because I'm a big believer in customers, not grants, right? And you get to build that relationship and hopefully that turns into a customer for you. So that's one of the things that we're really focused on trying to do. And then there's a bunch of other shit, but you can find all that on the, what's the hub called? QI Hub. It's got a whole bunch of stuff on it. And then go on to the Advanced Queensland website or reach out to our amazing Chief Entrepreneurs team.
Fantastic. And there's a number of people in this room that are about to sit for their first time, second time, and third time raising money. What's the most important lesson you've learned when raising money?
I just closed my last round the other day, 16 and a bit mil. It's my 5th capital raising in this business. So I've learned a lot of lessons, right? And I recently had a motorbike accident and I've got lots of scars, but I've got way more capital raising scars than that, I can tell you. I've raised money both here and in North America. So I've got US investors and Australian investors. There are a bunch of lessons. So who's going for their first round? Great, a couple of you. So if you're going for your first round, have your ducks lined up before you go. What does that mean? Have your org structure in place and have your shareholders agreement already in place. Don't let the investor define your shareholders agreement. Have it in place and let the investor want to make some changes to it as opposed to them tell you what to have. That's the first thing, right? That's a really important thing. I was lucky enough when I set up my business, I literally went and got a board together before I wanted to raise capital. I went and found the best caliber people I could find to put on a board. I went and found someone that represented the voice of the customer, someone that had taken a company like the company I was trying to build global and sold it, someone that had taken a company like I was trying to build global and listed it, right? So I got those three people on my board before I started. They helped me put all the things in place. It was really funny, actually, the day that I got them together to meet each other, because I wanted to make sure they shared my values and could work with each other, they actually offered to invest. And I raised my seed round, 500 grand, without actually having to try, right? So that was a really nice benefit. Then when I did my first institutional round, you've got to kiss 1,000 frogs. You do, right? You've got to be resilient. Don't get stressed if the first 5, 10, 15, 20 people say no. I just raised my 5th round and I still had 200 people say no. 200 different investors say no. It's not about the ones that say no, it's about the ones that say yes. Yeah. One of the things that's really important for me when I'm raising money is that are the investors aligned from an ethics and values perspective? If they are not, the probability of your business imploding goes up exponentially. It's really important. I believe there are 2 types of boards. There's the board that most businesses traditionally think about, right? And you would most commonly think about when you said it's a board. It's a board where the board appoints the CEO, and it's a board where the board defines the strategy of the business and then the CEO and exec team execute on it. That's not the right kind of board for a founder-led, high-growth innovation company. The right kind of board is a board that is sometimes, well, mostly has investors on it, but they're investors that are backing you to be successful. So you've got to go find investors that are going to back you and coach you and mentor you and support you and be the shoulder to cry on for you so that you can be successful, right? There is, I've seen so many examples over the last 10 years in this ecosystem of, the founder getting the raw deal, or 2 founders going in together, or 3 founders going in together, and things go pear-shaped, right? You just try and avoid that by getting the right kind of board. So that's really, really important. Valuation is critical. How do you define the valuation at a seed or early stage, right? Or even a Series A, or even a Series B, or even a Series C? How do you define that? You agree it. They can put all the metrics and spreadsheets and shit up in the world. At the end of the day, it's an agreement, right? Don't let them talk over you, right? Just because they've got some metrics. It's an agreement. My US investor wanted to invest in 2017 and came back with a lowball offer. I said, no. He came back in 2018, right, with an absolutely fair offer. Took another 12 months. It was worth it, right? Absolutely worth it. One of the best bits of advice I got was from a US investor in 2013. And he said to me, Wayne, don't think about the round you're doing. Think about the next 5 rounds you're doing, because you will more than likely do 5 rounds. And so think about the equity that you're going to give up on each round. So think about how much equity you have now and how much equity will you give up on each round? What will you be left with at the end of the day? Because you've got to leave enough at each round to give up more next round. So don't give up 50% of your company at the seed round. Don't do that, right? My seed round, Macquarie Bank invested $4 million on a pre-money of $8 million. So they bought a third of the company for $4 million. I was doing $27,000 a month in MRR, right? They've made a substantial return on their investment. They haven't exited yet, right? Substantial return on their investment. In hindsight, was 30% the right number? It's about, would you want to go any more than that in your first round? Probably not, right? Had I known more, like had I known back then what I know now, would I do 30% again? No way. No way, right? So what would I do instead? I would make sure I had enough revenue so that I didn't have to give up 30%. Yeah, that's really, really important. How do you get revenue, right? You got to go work hard for it. Go work hard for the revenue, right? Like the amount of time you spend trying to raise money, you could be spending trying to raise customers, and they pay you way better. Payment terms are super important. One of the things that we've done in our business to not have to raise too much is to go, right, let's get our customers to prepay stuff. That has sustained us for ages. So we used to go, right, charge monthly SaaS fees. Then we started saying, well, why don't we get them to pay quarterly in advance? Why don't we get them to pay annually in advance? Then we started signing open-ended SaaS contracts, and now we sign 5-year SaaS contracts. We just won a power utility here in Queensland. Last week, they just signed a contract, and they signed a 7-year SaaS contract. Pretty cool, right? 7-year SaaS contract. They will pay us a circa $300,000 to $400,000 to implement, and circa $12,000 to $15,000 a month in SaaS. Those contracts literally increase the value of your company. Each one of those you win, right? So, and I could give you 100 lessons on capital raising, right? Capital raising is super, super important. Don't go to the US too early, right? For everyone that's thinking about going global, right? Stay in Australia and get a good customer base as best as you can before you go offshore too quickly, because offshore sucks so much money out of your business, and it sucks so much energy and so much time. Shane up the back there and I've been mates for a long time, since before he had hair, right? And Shane, like we were sitting on a bus in Texas. Can I tell this story? You're going to. I am. No. We were sitting on a bus in Texas in 2011, and both of us were looking at like, okay, well, we're going to do, we want to start new businesses. And we went on a trip to think about what kind of businesses we started. And we both walked away from that going, we need to build a business that is a recurring revenue business. We need to build a business that makes money every month while we sleep. And we both went about identifying problems to solve based on our experience, our relationships, our networks. But we always thought about building a recurring revenue business. And it's being really thoughtful about what business you build. Like I have a rule, right? People come to me all the time and go, I've got this idea. What do you reckon? And so I stopped and I sat down and I said, right, how am I going to answer that question? All right, how would I advise someone to think practically about where do they invest their heart, their soul, their energy, their resources, their knowledge? What problem should they solve? And so 3 things. The first thing is solve a problem that someone will pay for. How does that translate into my business today? Most of the new functionality in our platform, we have our customers co-fund it. So our customers literally pay for some of our software development. Means they don't have to raise as much money, right? Really important. So that's the first thing. Solve a problem your customers want to pay for. The second thing is make sure that if you're going to solve a problem, don't try and solve a problem that is the core business of an 800-pound gorilla. Because if you're trying to solve the same problem that Microsoft or Google or any big company, doesn't matter what they are, one of the big industrial companies, if you're trying to solve the same problem that that company's trying to solve, right, as their core business, where they make all their margin and that's their brand, they will squash you. They just will squash you, right? Or you'll have such a hard time getting traction, right? Because the competitors are so good at it, right? Or perceived to be so good at it, that it'd just be really, it'll be an uphill battle, right? Better off to invest your time and energy that's something that is not their core business. Yeah. My competitors are multi-billion-dollar companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, but for them, the products that we sell are like, there are also REN products in their suite of 50 products. So they don't get the A team, they don't get the B team, they get the X team, right? And that's why we're better, and that's why we win. So make sure you don't compete head to head with an 800-pound gorilla. So first one, solve a problem that's really worth, customer will pay for. Second one, solve a problem that is not the core business of an 800-pound gorilla. Third one, make sure that if you're going to solve a problem that is relevant in lots of geographies or economies or industries. What I'm really trying to say there is cyclical market risk. And in ag, we know it, right? There's lots of shit that impacts our businesses on a day-to-day basis. So build a business that's resilient to as many externalities as you can. During COVID, we didn't lose a single customer, right? Our new customers stopped buying like every customer, but we were able to sustain ourselves really, really well, right? If we were just in one industry, like we started in mining and the mining industry tanked in 2013, and I went, oh shit, I better get out of mining, right? Or at least find some customers somewhere else. Then I moved to oil and gas, and then 2014, oil and gas dropped. And I went, oh, okay, that's 2 for 2. Well done, Wayne, right? Then we started selling to power and water. And today we have like 8 or 9 industries. And the benefit of that is, doesn't matter what happens in any one of those, right? So just take into consideration the cyclical nature and the externalities. So that stuff's really important. Anyway, there you go.
That's excellent. Thanks, Wayne. And that's great. One that I generally see, hopefully not too often. I don't want to dwell on some of these things because I want to come back to some positivity. I think it's really important that we all understand it. And Peter from USQ is working with wellbeing of students. Innovator wellbeing.
I love it.
It's an important thing. I just heard about the scars and the ups and downs of investment and those sorts of things. And I've looked across these guys. I mean, I talk about farmers having resilience, but these guys as innovators have so much resilience for the backing up and all that. What's some of the things that you've learned over the journey, just on that sort of side of it?
It is absolutely going to be tough. And you already all know that, right? Many of you that come from an agricultural background, you've already lived it. It's just life, right? So building resilience is super critical. We do stuff in our team on a day-to-day basis that helps with resilience of our team. So in 2018, we introduced recharge days into our business, where we said, if you've been in the business, in fact, we just said it generally, we said, every person gets 1 day in the first half of the year and 1 day in the second half of the year, recharge day. They literally can just pull the pin and go, guys, on mental health day, I need a day to decompress. We, about 6 months ago, changed that to now, from 3 years on, for every year, you get that number of recharge days. And we've introduced that to our team because we expect our team and we need our team, like every entrepreneur does. Our competitive advantage is how hard our team works, right? And so you need to do things to make sure your team have got mental health as well. For us as founders, Sarah is working at the moment. We did a pilot program last year on mental health with founders, and it was so well received. 350, was it roughly? 350 consultations, mental health consultations available for founders. We are trying to work out how to do that again this year. Trying to work out how to do it, right? Like we want to do it. We're talking to a provider. We know what we've got to do. We just got to take it through the process and system to try and get access to that. your peer group is the best mental health peer group available to you. One of the things that I do, like when I started Red Eye, there was not much of a startup ecosystem, right? And so I relied really heavily on blogs and on podcasts. I used to listen to the Andreessen Horowitz podcast all the time and hear about the founders of multi-billion-dollar companies and how they suffer the same stuff that we suffer. And what that made me realize is that we're all going through it. It's just part of the journey. That helped me build resilience. Having good mates around is super critical, right? For the first 5 years of Red Eye, I didn't take a holiday. Almost killed me, right? Literally almost killed me. I had a couple of panic attacks, got carted off to the hospital, all that kind of stuff. It was stupid. Luckily, I've got good mates like that bloke that keep me sane. And we're quite genuine and I'd say vulnerable with each other, right? You need to have that. You need to have people that you can truly speak with, right? And you need to be, the number of times I ring Shane up and go, mate, you okay? Right? How you going? And the number of times he does it for me, right, is super important. It's lonely being a founder. It really is lonely being a founder. It's particularly lonely because you've got your investors at the top who have expectations of you, but they don't really understand the detail of the business on the day-to-day. And then you've got team at the bottom who think they're doing an amazing job, and they are doing the best job they can do with the resources they have, the knowledge they have, in the environment they have. But those things aren't always aligned, right? And so you sit in the middle often as this like person that's got to like take the investor feedback and go, okay, thanks. I appreciated that feedback, delivered however it was delivered, right? Yeah. And then inspire and lift your team to give even more. And they already think they're absolutely overworked, completely taxed, and et cetera, right? So as a founder, as the CEO founder, as the leaders of the team, you often, I don't know, you just have to put yourself in a peer group where you can talk about the details that you're going through. Shane and I both went through EO. It was incredibly valuable for us, right? And we learned a lot of lessons out of that have helped so far. So I hope that helps.
No, fantastic. And I think it's a great lesson for all of us because there'll be ups and downs everywhere. And I think we've all become a bit more aware of it. And I'd like to see that momentum keep going too. So cool. One of the quick ones, I'm going to point out the NDRIP boys here. So NDRIP are here, do gravity feed. They were our inaugural residents of the hub here, and started with 1, 2 popped up, 3 popped up, 4 popped up, and then there was people coming through the chill system. The problem they have is finding people. And I think a lot of the businesses here, I know there's a lot of vacancies and those sorts of things. And I was interested in what you said earlier about bringing university students as deliberately side of it. We've got people coming through here from the university side, people coming from different cultural backgrounds, those sorts of things. The trick in getting that many people there, being productive, being aligned, how do you find that?
Attracting talent is one of the most important parts of our role. And at some point in time, you've got to be comfortable enough to delegate the responsibility for attracting talent down. You have to do that. How do we do it? We build great relationships with the unis. That's really, really important. We have got a graduate program running right now where we've got 6 graduates that just started like last week, I think, in the business. I will literally recruit people. I've recruited a handful of people, the barista who has got amazing customer service. And that guy now is the head of our customer support team, right? Like just an absolute gem. Recruited people who have been driving Uber, who are from Iran. I've recruited women from, Colombia, all over the place. So I've got a lady right now who works for me in Egypt who wants to immigrate. And as soon as the borders are open, we'll sponsor a 457 or whatever it is, right? You've got to be creative with the way you attract talent. There is a short talent market, there's no question, but I can still find talent like every day of the week. I don't know. I I don't think there's anything special to it. I think sometimes people go, oh, the talent market's really tight. The talent, it's impossible to find talent. Well, maybe the approach you're taking isn't working. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just keep putting shit on Seek and expecting it to work. That just won't work. I think, we're really focused. We have an internal recruiter. The 8th person I hired into the business was an internal recruiter, number 8 in my business. She was 19 or 18. I can't remember, 19, I think, at the time. She's now just under 30, has had 2 kids, and is our general manager of culture and people. And on that journey, she's helped me put in really good work practices for women, so that mums can, women can go off and have babies. And we've really consciously built an environment at Red Eye that is inclusive, is supportive, is diverse. Like, really consciously done that. And for you, if you've got a small business that's just starting, diversity from day one is such a sensible strategy. Like, seriously, a really valuable thing to invest in. Look for diversity, right? Like, I'm looking all the time. Where are the untapped talent markets, and how do I get access to them? Our immigrant community, bloody amazing. I would say easily my top 10 employees, at least 7 or 8 of them are immigrants, like, without a shadow of a doubt. They come here with something to, like, they want to set a better life for themselves, and they work really hard to achieve that. And they're really genuinely grateful. And so I am, like, every day of the week, right? We're trying so hard to have an immigrant program as part of the Office of the Chief Entrepreneur. We found someone to be the immigrant representative on their Innovation Advisory Council, and then he raised a bunch of money and moved to the US, right? So we're focused on trying to unlock that part of the community to help those people, because they come with multiple degrees and they end up working in a coffee shop because they don't have a network, or their English isn't that good, right? If you are looking for talent and you're interviewing someone just because their English isn't that good, like, don't pass on them. If they've got the right attributes and right culture, take them and invest in them. And they'll stay. Like, Nico, when Nico joined my business, he was a young guy from Mauritius. French was his language. He could speak a little bit of English really badly. And he left the business maybe 12 months ago after being there for 6 or 7 years. Absolute rock star. We got so far because Nico joined our business, because we invested in him. So I really encourage you to take a punt on young people, take a punt on immigrants, take a punt on Indigenous people, right? And then invest in them. And I don't mean send them off on all these courses, just make time available for them and coach them. It's such a sensible strategy.
Yeah, there's a really good message there. And taking the punt, and I know there's a lot of gut feels out here on where people feel with people, and I think that's an important thing. Follow your gut sometimes, and just do the investment. I look at Airborne Insight over here with Lauren and Nat. So just here, we've got John from the Pulse Data Center here. We've got Peter from AgConnect. Data.
Yeah.
The famous thing about data, I could go into IP, that's a totally different one, which I'll leave away, Stephen, but data. Where do you see the future of that, and how, if you're starting out investing or innovating, that you'd be cautious with data and make sure you're in the right space?
Yeah, great question. Three parts to data security. You got to do it, right? Go ISO 27001 as quickly as you can. You just, if you're selling a service that manages another organization's data, and the customer is deemed to be critical infrastructure, you are going to face significant increasing responsibility around reporting to guarantee the sovereign nature of that data. There are new security of critical infrastructure, SOCI legislation that's coming out, and it's going to be updated more rigorously. So please, think about that. So data security, just start doing it as early as you can. Think about it, right? That's number one. Host your data in an amazing data center like Pulse, or wherever is practical for you, right? and make sure that you've got that you're telling the story to your customers about how you've structured your infrastructure, right? Your environment to be available, to be reliable, to be scalable, and to be redundant. So we have, in my business, I have, I'm on AWS as my primary platform, and I back up every day to Azure, right? So we are multi-jurisdiction and multi-vendor from a protection perspective, right? We do, every month, my team do a full rebuild of our system. So our SLA says 4 hours. We can now do it in an hour, right? Completely stand up our system if we had a major failure, right? So having the right contractual agreement with your customers, the right service levels is really, really, really important. So talked about data security, talked about managing your environment. The third one is analytics from day one. If you're building software and you're hiring a lot of people to do that over time, like my software team's now 40 people, what happens is the easy stuff gets done, the small stuff gets done, the fast stuff gets done, the person that shouts the loudest, their stuff gets done. And the strategic stuff that you want to invest in because it's going to move your business up the field, yeah, we'll get to that, right? Because they don't really understand it, or it's not really whatever, right? So analytics, every single customer is going to expect some insight or some recommendation from their data. They're going to expect you to be smart with their data. So we talk a lot about, in our business, we talk about insights and recommendations. We don't talk about data science and machine learning. That's the how. The what does the customer get? They get insights and recommendations. They get better quality decision-making. And so we think about how do we build that into our business, into every new product from day one. That's really important. We got caught out because we did not build internationalization into our product from day one, right? That was an expensive mistake, right? We don't want to make the same mistake with data. So hopefully that helps.
Excellent. And with the final question, we've got a 2-minute pitch for you.
Sure.
Why is Queensland the best place to innovate?
You want me to do the pitch?
I want you to do the pitch.
You could have given me something hard. Why is Queensland the best place to innovate? I think there are a bunch of reasons why Queensland is the best place to innovate. When I look around the room and I see examples of the curious problem solvers that we have right here, people that every day wake up and look at problems that are really relevant to our economy and society, and then unpack them and turn them into products, services, businesses, and companies that employ Queenslanders, right? I'm really excited about the potential. We have an amazing ecosystem that is building rapidly. Every new person that gets employed into our ecosystem learns something and becomes a further contributor. So there is now a talent pool of people in Queensland that is growing daily, and they've experienced solving really important things, not just nice to have things. Not only that, we have a great, safe environment, as we've seen through COVID. One of the best performing economies and the best places to live during COVID. So when you plug all that together, a great place to live, a great place to bring up your family, a great place to do business, access to talent, and an emerging investment market. I literally hosted an event last year where I had almost $1 trillion sitting at the table over lunch. We're trying to unlock that $1 trillion and point it into this ecosystem. You should do a little quick pitch here. Come on. Amazing investors. Come on. Yeah, quick.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Wayne. And thanks for all of that. I think really important topics that we look at on a daily basis as well, and in the work we're doing with Owen and the team here as well. So I'm here representing two companies. One is innovation agency. The other one is a funds management company. So we are Mandalay Venture Partners. We are a venture capital firm investing in agri-food technologies. And yes, we're bringing I guess, the first agri-food tech venture capital firm to Queensland. So obviously there's a few players across Australia, but I think it's really important to unlock local capital into this market as well. And so we're talking to lots of ecosystem players across Australia, but with a strong focus on Queensland, to get people to invest in innovation and invest and interact with a lot of you. So yes, thanks, Wayne.
It's awesome. Like, I'm so excited to have more local venture firms starting up. One of the things that we're trying to achieve is to, I'll host heaps of events like most weeks. And when I'm in a room full of corporates or senior executives, I ask them who would be interested to invest in innovation here in Queensland, right? And you would be surprised at the number of hands that go up. There are so many people in our ecosystem that aren't ultra high net worths, but are progressing in their career and have $50, $100, $200,000, right? Or a super fund, right? They're self-managed super fund and they want to invest. And so we're trying to work out ways to unlock that capital and point it into funds like Mandalay so that they have access to you, right? When I think about all of the things that we've got that make Queensland beautiful one day, perfect the next, I'd say having Owen here as the AgTech hub is probably the icing on the cake.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Wayne. It's been an unbelievable afternoon. We've got a little bit of innovations to look through, but look, I think the thing that I've absolutely taken away from this is the lessons of there will be risk, there will be ups and downs in investment, and you guys are all part of that ecosystem. Follow your gut, back yourselves up, work and leverage the network and the ecosystem that we've been building in Queensland. It's strong, it's healthy. Don't remain just in AgTech. Look at other areas. Wayne's walked those roads. He's been able to share those experiences from other experiences, but they're relevant today and they will be relevant tomorrow. So thank you, Wayne. Thanks for your time. If we can just put your hands together once more, that'd be great.